Hi, I am your host, Lyanette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. Just give me my space to move. 'Cause it's my thoughts, what I want, and I want what I want. Hello, everyone. Hi. Virago's in the house. Hey. I have Shiney.
Hello.
Briana.
Hi.
And me, Lyanette. Welcome, girls.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
How's everyone doing?
Wonderful.
Let's get into it.
Let's get it.
We had our friend Justin come, and he's like, you know what, ladies, I'm going to help you guys out. Yes. Justin has a production background, and so today is like a guinea pig day.
Test run.
A test run of a format.
Yes, yes. It's the pilot.
Yeah, it is. Even though it's episode like 90-something, it's the pilot. So if you guys hate it, let me know. If you love it, let me know. If you're indifferent, let me know or not know.
If you hate it, don't tell me though.
Yeah, Briana doesn't like stuff like that. I'm okay with
I'll get mad.
A little criticism. So no, Justin, when he came over, he was telling us about a Jesuit prayer, and I'd never heard of it, but it's called the Examen. And so, I'm going to read it. I'll read it because I Googled it. So the Examen is a daily prayer, and it's a method of self-reflection that helps people notice God's presence in their lives, which is really cool. And this is what Virago is all about. Self-reflecting, learning, growing, healing, all the good stuff. And basically it's being grateful, like looking around and seeing what you can be grateful for.
I love it.
What events throughout the day. And then also looks at like what any regrets or anything that you've done that you could have done better. And so I want to try that exercise and see what each of us has, what highlights and what hurdles. And it doesn't have to be today. It could be for, the past week or so. So, Shiney, what is your highlight and hurdle?
Say, can I pass and think on it for a few minutes and you guys go first?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Shiney, Bree.
I would say my highlight has been long story short, I got a puppy about 2 years ago, and I'm in the middle of going through a divorce right now. And I didn't foresee being able to bring my puppy. She's a bigger golden doodle. I didn't foresee being able to bring her to my apartment, but I prayed about it and thought about it. And in my heart, I just felt like it was the best decision to bring her to live with us. So we did that this week, and she has been absolutely wonderful. I've fallen in love with her all over again, and she's been amazing. So that's definitely been my highlight of the week.
That's good.
Wow. Yes, it's been really great. I'm stoked. And then I would say my hurdle has been, I have a 17-month-old and he's teething. So we've had a lot of grumpiness and he's, taking Motrin like every 6 hours, poor little guy, and a lot of sleepless nights. So that's been my hurdle, but I'm just thankful to have a happy baby that's teething, or a healthy baby that's teething rather. But it's been tough. There's been a lot of lack of sleep, I should say. But yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah.
So for me, I told you all a week or two ago, was it 2 weeks
ago,
about my biopsy that I had to do.
Yes.
And so we did it. Mm-hmm. We did it on a Wednesday, a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then I was going to Dallas. So that Friday, I got the call at the airport. We're in line. We're bougie. We like to check in our luggage, even though they are technically carry-ons. But because we get for free, we don't do bougie, bad and bougie.
Yeah.
Nice shirt, Shiney. She has a cute shirt that says bad and bougie with, what's her name?
Betty Boo.
And a witch hat. So I'm standing in line with, Philip and our two little ones. And, well, they're not little, but they're little to me. Khalil and Corinne, 16 and 14. We're on our way to Dallas to go to watch a football game. And this whole time, because even Briana was like, you're so calm. And yes, I was calm. And the whole biopsy experience was actually lovely. The nurses were amazing. Northside Hospital here in Georgia. And they just hold your hand throughout all of it. So I felt very comfortable. It wasn't bad at all. But a little part of me was like, prepare yourself just in case. Just in case. Just get that mind going in case it's not what you want to hear. So we're standing in line. My phone rings and I'm like, I gotta get it. And I'm like, hello. And she literally just went in and was like, I want you to have a wonderful weekend. There was nothing. Now we know for next time, because they put a little marker in there, like a teeny tiny little thing. And it'll show up in the next mammogram. That way they know that that's already been looked at. And literally tears just come flowing from my face. And I think it was like relief, because I can tend to act like I'm a badass, but I'm not. Oh, I am.
Well, that is the badass part.
I am a badass, but not all the time. So anyways, It was like relief.
Yeah.
So no cancer.
How often do you have to go now?
Just regular.
Just once a year?
I don't know. What is it now? I thought they said if you have clean scans, it's every 3 years.
No, we're once a year.
Okay. I just made that up.
Once a century.
That's
For me, it was 3 years because I haven't been in 3 years.
That's pap smears.
Oh, that's right.
But I would still recommend
Next
to go
year.
every year.
Yeah, I'll go next year.
Okay,
So
perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
So
they changed the
exciting.
pap smear. Yeah, so no cancer.
happy.
Hallelujah, thank the Lord. And then honestly, I'm not trying to be all like weird and be like, oh, nothing bad has happened. I don't have any examples like that because, guys, I've had a very long emotional year. Mm-hmm. So finally I feel peace and calm and the kids and everything is good. So I have something so superficial. It's superficial. It's not anything that's happened to me. But anytime I have big emotions, I want to find out where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So we watched a documentary on Netflix, and I want to know why it's a trigger. Why am I being so passionate about this? And the emotions that are coming up are frustration and like somewhat a little bit of anger. But I watched a documentary with Philly called, what's it called?
Sweet Bobby.
Sweet Bobby.
My catfish nightmare.
Yes. And I'm not going to give anything away, but it's about catfishing. And I think my trigger is, the reason for this podcast is that I want everyone to be aware, self-aware, and aware of their surroundings, and to not get duped, and to be strong, and to be,
a warrior.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so when I see women fall in the other direction, there's something that goes off inside me. Instead of empathizing, I want to shake them. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of being like sad for someone, I get like annoyed. And so I'm like, maybe I need to dig more into that. So anyways, that was my hurdle, is trying to figure out why that bothers me so much, especially that's not my life. Mm-hmm. But I just want a better life for others, and a better wherewithal. So yeah, those are my two things.
I love that. I think you do have empathy because it frustrates you on their behalf.
Yeah.
It may not present the way that you would like it to, but there is some form of empathy there because you're like, you want to shake them so that they
like,
can
how
be
did
like,
you not know?
what the hell is wrong with you?
In the first 10 minutes,
it was ridiculous.
There was like 80 signs. I'm like, that was a sign. That was a sign. That was a
no.
No, it was good. It was good. I don't want to give anything away, but anyways, you're right.
It's the rescuer in you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that, but we got to get over that.
Yeah.
Shiney, have you thought about anything?
Mine is going to piggyback off of yours a little bit. I'm going to go generalized because we haven't done this type of form before, and I'm just excited about it.
I know.
So my highlight is that I would say my life in general has been a journey. And I have always been a very naive, very hopeful person. And I always saw it as a good thing, but actually it's not. We teach people how to treat us. So I was teaching people that I'm so laid back that you can walk all over me. And so the highlight for me is that on this journey, I have been seeking knowledge, just like you, like so strongly wanting to learn about the psychology of people, because that's true empathy, right? Putting ourselves in someone else's shoes. So for me, I read 50 psychology books, every different kind, and I found it so fascinating. But what it really taught me is, like, everybody has their journey, their choices, their influences based on their life. And neither one is better than the other. And for me, I feel like I may have just woken up, but I am awake.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. My hurdle was already looped in there.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that. I love that. All right, switching gears. Bree over here, you're 30 years old.
I am.
And this week when I was like, what do we talk about? What do we talk about? I was on Instagram and I saw this video with Gabrielle Union, who's an actress. If you don't know her, Google her.
I love her.
But yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. But she was basically talking to 30-year-olds. She's like, this is what I want to tell all 30-year-olds. And basically what she was saying, it's time isn't running out. There's no race and there's no checkered flag. She said that that someone waves at the end of your life saying she did it all. And so you have time because you keep saying, and I want to get into this a little bit deeper after I read what she said. Anyways, I'll read it and then we're going to get into it because there's a lot that she said that I was like, we need to talk to Bree. Travel is one of them. Tell people how you really feel, which I don't think you have a problem with that. No. Don't lie to your therapist. She said, be okay to not be okay. And then be okay with missing out because staying in is more fun anyways, she says. And so it got me thinking, let's talk about that. Like Shiney, you and I'm going to be 45 in a few days, actually. And you are, how old are you?
Right in that vicinity.
In that vicinity. And so let's talk about what is it that we would tell a 30-something-year-old and like, what did we learn in our 30s? What we would tell a 30-something-year-old? Because Briana, you're at this point in your life that you're in a transition phase.
Yes.
You are getting a divorce. You have 2 little boys, which is going to make you a single mom. So you're 30. So you're in transition, lots of change. And I keep hearing you say things like, oh my gosh, I'm too old for this. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe at 30. And we're looking at you like, girl, bye with that. Like, you're still so young. And, certain things that I thought about were to really so in my 30, I feel I started blossoming at 35, but that's besides the point. 35 was like, for me, the magic number. But I didn't really know my purpose because at 30, I was pregnant with my 3rd child. Mm-hmm. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I never thought I would be that. I knew I always wanted to be married and I knew that I always wanted to have children, but I thought I would be a working mom and like kicking ass somewhere and traveling and just like a mover and a shaker. That's what I always felt deep inside of me. And that's what I thought that I would do. So being stuck at home with my 3rd kid on the way at 30 years old, I mean, I was as happy as I could be at that time. But I just finally, I think why 35 is the magic number, maybe I should have started sooner, was I started thinking about what my purpose is and what God has for me. Like, why am I here? Like, stop crying over what wasn't or what could have been or should have been. What can I do now with has been given to me and do something with that?
Right.
And so that's what I started asking myself around 35 because, I had her at 30 and then, for a few years I was a hot mess because there's 3 little kids and
toddlers.
Yes, like you said.
Yeah.
They're teething and they're this and they wake you up. So finding my purpose, and if you can find it now, my gosh, I wish I would have found like that feeling of, okay, we're just switching courses. Like we're just pivoting. We're pivoting. I wish I would have known that pivoting was okay. But I was just so like deep in this shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I see that in you where it's like, stop, look at it. And what can I do now? Just pivot. And then the other thing is comparing yourself. Like, you're 30. Oh my gosh, I'm divorced. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't be divorced. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have 2 baby daddies. Oh, like all this, oh my gosh. And because you're probably comparing yourself to other people and, oh, what are other people going to think? Or what are they going to say? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, who really gives a shit? And everyone's just doing their best and running their race. And yes, somebody might look at you and judge you. Who cares?
But then they're not your people.
Yeah, like who cares? That's something that they need to work out. Like how I'm getting frustrated over Sweet Bobby. Oh, yeah, dear Lord.
Kinja, I think is her name.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, yeah, I'm like, that's not my circus, not my monkey. So, you know, that's her life. So those were a few things. Shiny dear, do you have anything?
Well, I was thinking what the things that you said that Gabrielle Union said. And you said being okay with being at home or not being involved in something. It's JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Oh.
Love that.
The joy. Actually, I saw that recently, and that should be on a shirt, and we should all wear it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
because JOMO is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's truly like the letting go, which is what you were saying. Was you're telling Bree, you know, not to like live your life now. Don't go back, right? Like comparison is the thief of joy, right? And if you compare, you really are taking away from your happiness. And the truth is you have to think the grass is greener where you water it. And so as soon as we learn this, like Lyanette, even when you said, I wish I did that at this, I wish I knew my purpose, but even stop you there.
Yeah.
Because that's not what we're going to do either.
Yeah.
We're going to right now be happy that we're together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to live in the present because people are like sleeping, you know?
Oh, yeah. What do you mean by sleeping? I mean, I understand, but elaborate on that.
Meaning people are just happy to do the same thing every day on repeat. And
Are they happy though?
No, that's why they're not. And the truth is we have to want to learn, want to grow, and want to change. And we want better every day. If your morning isn't good, you want your afternoon to be good. Like start as soon as possible.
Oh yeah.
And just like what you said, how you want people to be self-aware, you know, lift each other up, like as soon as possible that we can do that. I think because that's really living.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the other things that I feel like you're already doing, Bree, is being self-aware and knowing, like for me at that time, I've talked about this ad nauseum about my dad passing away. 35 was that magic number because I finally decided I was 33 when he passed away. And that 34 was like a fog because it was a year of just being just grief stricken because we didn't have like the best bond. Yeah, he was my dad. I loved him. I'm his daughter. Yeah, I know he loved me, but it wasn't like this close, like, oh my gosh, like this, you guys know. Like,
and didn't you feel like there was a lack of closure there too?
Yes, there was some closure, but it happened and then he passed soon after. So I wish we could have done something with it. But my communication skills were lacking. And yes, that's learned behavior. But I'm 30 something years old and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I was aware that, okay, when someone dies, it's final. And we didn't communicate well. We kept a lot of stuff to ourselves. It would explode because we didn't talk about our feelings on a regular. So I'm like, that's not, I can't continue doing this. So I had to reflect and then want to change and decided like I have to start somewhere. So speaking my mind at that moment, don't hold on to things because you will just tick like a bomb and like explode like a bomb. And then everyone's just like left frazzled. I feel like with you, you're already on your way with that because for the longest, you know, share about your alcoholism if you want. And I'm so proud of you because you're finally, you know, it's an issue within you. And it's not really the alcoholism. And I don't even want to shed light on that. It's the things that drove you to do that.
Right.
Or, the other things about your life and upbringing that forced you to want to numb yourself.
Self-medicate.
Yeah. And now you're accepting those things and you don't want to live there anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud because that's a big step. There's so many people that just pass away with never learning that lesson.
Yeah.
Never being self-aware, never even, some people are afraid to look at that. It's like, if I'm going to change, I have to acknowledge that these things happen. I have to acknowledge that shitty stuff happened to me. And I have to feel those feelings again. Nobody wants that.
No.
You know how much crime the three of us have done because we are looking at ourselves in the mirror and realizing, get your shit together.
A shit ton of crying. Yeah.
So, Shiney.
And I was going to say really quick that when I was 30 years old, I wasn't married yet. My sister got married before me and she's 5 years younger. So, and my culturally, you have to look the part too. So I worked out every morning and evening, before and after work. And I was even thinner than I was even at my own wedding. I had to it's as if I had all this on me that I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I would tell anybody that there is no race and there's no rules. So that, I just wanted to share that I think Bree's so lucky.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel pretty lucky.
Good.
I think to touch on that, I think as a human, I have my good days and my bad days, right? So my bad days are obviously, as a mother, I think is where I struggle the most. As a mother, I feel I have high expectations for the way that my children grow up. And I come from a very unhealthy childhood and a lot of trauma and a lot of emotional baggage that I never want my kids to feel. So on my bad days, I feel like I'm hard on myself in regards to being a mother. I want my kids to have a forever home, I want my kids to see a healthy marriage in a way that I wasn't privy to until, I was a teenager. And so my bad days are that. I do feel like I'm in a race. My oldest son will be 12 next month and I have a toddler, of course, but I feel like there's a hurry to get that done while he's still little. And I feel like his childhood is time is running up on me. And I think I'm a very constructive person of myself. I give myself a lot of criticism but I do try to make it constructive. So it is hard, but I do listen and it has been really helpful hanging out with you guys and talking with you guys because I leave here and I do feel like a badass and I do feel like I've come a long way. I will say an advantage, not to toot my own horn, but an advantage that I do have is on my good days, I am always looking for something to be grateful for. A year ago, I would not have pictured myself living in a small 2-bedroom apartment with my kids and being a single mom and job hunting and all of these things. I wouldn't have pictured that. But on my good days, I look around at everything I have and I really am very fortunate. I have 2 beautiful, healthy kids and I do have my own apartment. I haven't had many places that I could call home in my 30 years of life. So I think there are good days and bad days, but hearing stuff like this is extremely helpful because I think for the most part, it helps you feel not so alone. Other 30-year-olds feel this way, or when you were 30, you were feeling this way. So I think I have more advantages than I do disadvantages. And all of my advantages are mental. Just like you talked about my alcoholism, it took me so long to finally accept the fact that I was an alcoholic. And I've touched on this before, but being a young alcoholic is such a hard thing to accept. I will never be able to drink again. I will never, and not in a healthy way. Obviously I can, but if I roll the tape through, I know how that ends every single time. And so you kind of have to turn every negative thing about yourself into some sort of strength. And so I've dug as deep as I could fucking dig to find the strength of being an alcoholic. And for me, that has helped me the most coming out of it and accepting it. And then also I like to, as soon as I meet somebody, I like to make somebody aware. So there's no room for confusion. There's no room for weak moments. There's no room for any of that.
That is growth because I've known you since you were, technically I've known you since you were 16, but know you, I mean, you were a teenager and then early 20s when you and I were really getting to know each other and hanging out and drinking when you were 21 and all of that. So I've seen the progression. I've seen the growth. I've had to pick you up off the floor. I've had to cuss you out because I'm like, why are you doing this shit again?
Put my shoes on me.
Like literally drag her. Like she's like weekend at Bernie's. Like, listen, you're going to have to put one foot in front of the other and we're going to walk together. But I'm so proud of you because of that. And it's so freeing because one thing that I always keep telling you, if you focus on yourself, your sons, everything else will fall into place. And the other day, you and I were talking and you're like, we were getting our nails done and you turned and you said, I just don't want to jinx it because everything's going so well right now because you've been focused and you've been proactive and I just see a different Briana and you are afraid that something bad's going to happen. And I said, oh my gosh, when I was your age, I did the same thing. Like, you feel like you can't be happy because finally everything
unworthy. Yeah. Or you're on your toes. Like, why is everything going so well?
That's something really
Where's
big.
Ashton Kutcher? Am I about to be punk type shit? You know?
Yeah. And but the thing with that's another lesson is that, you know, I think it's a Tom Hanks quote. I don't know if it's him, but I think I heard where he says something about, when things are great, this too shall pass. And when things are shitty, this too shall pass. I'm sure he said it in a very more eloquent way, but it's basically saying that all things will pass, whether good or bad. Yeah. And I told you, because I had to learn it myself, because I was the same way. Like, this is too good to be true. And there's a bomb about to drop that's going to make all of this stuff mean nothing. And right now, everything's good. But when shit
hits like a puzzle right now.
Yeah.
Like my puzzle pieces were all fucking scattered and,
you're
and
like,
crazy.
You didn't know what to do.
And now all of the puzzles... And you know, with help of my own, all of the puzzle pieces are kind of aligning like too perfectly right now.
And like quickly too.
Yes. And I'm like, this puzzle is about to be ugly as shit. Something bad's about to happen because
some kid's
gonna step on my puzzle.
Some kid's gonna come and be like,
my toddler. Yeah.
And take all the puzzle pieces away.
It is such a I try to find the positive in everything. It's such a good and bad mindset. It's a bad mindset because you don't feel like you're able to enjoy the good things that are happening because you're so anxious and awaiting the negative things to come that are, you know, like you said, they're inevitable. The good times will pass too. But also it's a good thing because a positive thing because I am so appreciative of all of the good things. Like, I don't take any good thing for granted. No good thing am I like, do I take it for granted? And I don't want to dive too deep into this because I have struggled a lot with religion all throughout my life. I've been very inquisitive. I've questioned if God was real and kind of where I fit in, you know, in the whole God thing, as I used to say. But it's funny because it has given me so much hope, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be, where I feel like I could be had I, you know, tried it sooner or listened sooner. But I have a lot of faith that I've never felt before. Like, I have so much faith, and it's not even to attribute it directly to God, but that's one
God.
of the. Well, I'm just saying that's
I attribute
in
it
my mind. I don't directly go to God because that's unnatural for me.
Yeah.
It's unnatural for me to say, oh, this is a God thing. And something that I want to be very careful about in my spiritual walk that I'm going through now is for it to be authentic. Because before I would do it and say, oh, I believe in God, or wear a cross around my neck, and all of a sudden I'm this like little Christian girl. No, it was always...
Or get a cross on your hand, a tattoo.
A drunken tattoo. But it was always like, so just what I thought I should be, what I thought people wanted to hear, whether it be you or dad or friend, you know, like it was never authentic. And so now I'm embracing the questions that I have the moment, because I still question. I still have so many questions. Is God real? Is this God? Is this the devil? Which one are you? You know?
Who it is.
And so I still embrace those questions as well, because it gives me the opportunity and the chance to feel those questions and to kind of work through those questions. So I attribute a lot of it to that as well. And that is a huge difference that I've made. I haven't been to church in 3 weeks, and every Sunday I'm like, damn it. I've listened, but every Sunday I'm like, damn it, I didn't go to church today. And then I'm so hard on myself, and I'm like, no, girl. Because every day it's something that I think about, which is way more than I could say a year ago. I wasn't thinking about God every day. Something good didn't happen and I didn't go, was that God? Even if I'm not sure, even if I don't look up to this guy and go, thank you, I'm like, my mind is at the point now where it's questioning it. So I think that's a big difference too. And I think going back to the age thing, I think it's hard because my alcoholism has played such a heavy role in my adult life that, you know, this started in my early 20s and now I'm 30. So in my mind, I'm like, this should be over. Girl, you should have been done, figured that shit out. This should be over. And, you know, and then also bringing another child into the world, dealing with all of this as well. So, you know, just going back to the age thing, I think because it has been, in the grand scheme of thing, not that long, but for me, way too long. I'm like, okay, you were doing this in your early 20s. You know, you're 30, this should be over by now. So that's kind of where that whole racing thing comes into play as well.
Well, and it's, you're on your way for it to be over.
Yeah.
And you're 30.
And
so you're right on time.
I don't want to be, I'm not even a superstitious person, but I don't want to jinx it. But I going back to alcoholism and questioning things, I'm like, why is it so easy this time? Like, it's too easy. It's too good to be true.
So you feel like it's...
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that if something bad happens, which the past 6 months have been some of the hardest months in my life, going through this divorce and just dealing with everything that comes with that mentally and emotionally for myself and for my children. And even my ex-husband, soon to be ex-husband. But I'm like, why has it been so easy? Life has been hard lately. Life has been shit, the past 6 months. Why has it been so easy? And so the positive side of my mind is like, okay, it's over. Like, we're done. We're done fighting this shit. It's over, you know? But then the other part of me is like, not, you know, like worried still. I'll always have that worried. And I also don't want to be too cocky or too naive to the fact that, you know, I am always an alcoholic. There are going to be temptations in my life. But yeah, just to go back to that too.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
You are.
Thanks.
You really are.
I feel pretty good.
So
I think the past month I felt better than I have in a long time. So.
But you got a job.
I did get a job.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
We're going to be working together.
Yes, I'm going back to Innovative Smiles.
Yes, she is. That's a big deal.
I worked there for a long time before, and I left and came back once or twice.
But no, the crazy thing is, and like you said, your puzzle pieces are literally falling into place because you said you wanted to work there a few months ago. Like right when you separated and got your apartment, I remember you saying, do you think you guys would ever have me back? And at that time, we didn't have any openings, and there was no room for you at all. Right. And honestly, there was nothing in sight that was looking like it was going to change anytime soon.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, no, that door's not open for you, Bree, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, essentially.
We weren't a-holes about it, but yeah.
It's funny too, because it lined up well on the practice end.
Yeah.
But also in my life too, because I did not want to work for another dentist. I've been very adamant about that, but it's all I know. I'm good at it. Like once I'm in dentistry, like I'm passionate about it. I'm good at it. I have knowledge from it because of who I worked for so long. But I didn't want to work for another dentist because I'm sorry. In my experience, dentists are batshit crazy, okay?
And you have worked for other dentists.
And they are. They've been crazy. They've been terrible experiences.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know
Yes.
that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
we could have a reality show, but I think people think it's boring, but no.
No, it would not be boring.
Yeah, it would be so.
Dentists are crazy, and Philip K. Talley Lyanette's husband is the exception to that. But anyway, so I finally succumbed to my situation and was like, girl, dentistry is what you know. You're gonna have to find another dental office. And so I started applying at other dental offices. I finally decided, you know what, I'm gonna just go back to dentistry. And then Corinne, which is Lyanette's youngest daughter, I was driving her to school one day, and she was like, why don't you go back and work at Dad's practice? And I was like, honestly, if he would have me, I totally would, but I don't know that he's open to that or that there's anything available. And it was literally
that day or the next day
that Dad texted me and was like, hey,
someone
can
quit.
you? Yeah,
someone quit. And and it was
just aligned.
And we're like, wait a minute. So so she starts November 5th. And the thing with Briana, she's a people person and she knows Philip and she just knows that practice. The patients are going to be so excited.
So very excited.
They're going to be so excited to see you. And the way it lined up, because there was nothing in sight. And so, now there was an opening and she's sliding right on.
It's a nerve-wracking thing going back because Lyanette's husband, Dr. Talley, is I call him dad. He's like a dad to me. So not only is there that kind of pressure to perform professionally, but it's added pressure for me personally that I've added to myself because he is my dad and I don't want to disappoint him. I have disappointed him in the past. My alcoholism affected my work. And so I was very nervous about that. But the way that everything has lined up has made me believe like, no, this is meant to be. Like this is where you're supposed to be and you're going to be fine. You're going to do well. You're going to make him proud. Everybody's going to be happy to have you there. And so it's been such a blessing that the way it worked out, because had it not worked out that way and I kind of, asked repetitively or whatever, and I felt like I kind of forced my way in, that doubt would be so much more. Yeah. But the way it aligned is just...
Well, I jokingly told her, I said, girl, Philip he's just one of those people, he puts his mind to it. And he goes for it. And I didn't know him when he was little. I didn't know him as a teenager. But like you can tell that everything that he did and touched was successful. And so I was like, I gave him a chance. And look at me, girl. Places. So stick with him and you're going to be going places too. You got nothing to worry about. Even in the hard times, he won't let you feel like it's a hard time.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
He is the best boss ever. I'm biased, I know, but he is the best boss ever. And I'm so thankful. I don't know if
everyone would say that, but a lot of people appreciate him.
And my opinion means the most, okay? I'm just kidding.
And I know we're talking about 30-somethings and we're going to move on to something else, but going back to Philip, even though it has nothing to do with our topic, but people have left thinking the grass is greener. And there's been more than a handful that want to come back.
Yes, me. This will be my fourth time coming back. Dang,
girl.
Well, I didn't want to say that out loud. Actually, it's my second.
It's like going back to like an old boyfriend. Yeah. Gosh, the toxicity. And even he ran into someone at a conference recently, and I don't know, we're just bragging about him, but she introduced, I don't know if it was Hydra as an assistant, but somebody that worked with him years ago. And she said to whoever she was with, he taught me everything I know.
You told me about that.
Yeah. And the person was like, wow, well, she's really good. So that must be a compliment. So anyways.
Yeah.
We're excited for you to be back into the Innovative Smiles.
My 30s are starting to look up.
They are. See?
Yeah.
We are starting a new segment and we're calling it Virago's Library.
I was going to say, this is the pilot for all the segments.
All the segments. Let's see how it works. But no, we like to read. I don't know. Bree, you kind of read.
I read true crime books.
Yeah. I read
thriller books.
There's something about Shiney.
Yes.
Oh my.
This is going to be Shiney's segment. The thing with Shiney, you know those people that read something, watch something, and then they can quote it?
Yes.
They can quote the name of the book.
Retain it.
And the author and what page it was on.
And apply it.
Yeah.
And apply
and
it.
repeat it to you. She'll be like, Lyanette, I read such and such book by such and such. And on page 25, at the very bottom, he said, quote, the grass is not always green on the underside, end quote. So I was funny. And so she's always sending me something. And so I said, you know what? Instead of just us hoarding it for ourselves, Shiney, what have you read? What have you seen? What is it that you have seen that has been inspiring that you would like to share and give us who, where, how, so we can read it too?
Well, thank you. You guys are so sweet. I guess this is the nerdy me. The nerdy part of me, because every other part is so cool.
It's admirable that your reading is,
Oh, thank you. That's my part of my learning, and then I write about it. Yeah, so I feel like that's probably how I remember. I teach my kids, because studying is a skill. So I teach them that if you read something, write on it, or if you learn something, write on it, because that's a second way to remember it, right? So I'm going to read something that we learned together last week, but we didn't record this to share. And Bree, you might get to it faster than me right now, but it was the quote that you asked me for.
It's on my phone.
Oh, whoops.
But
Okay.
it's in our group chat.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you help me?
I'll help you.
Yeah. See, I write 50,000
This
things.
quote, I thought about this quote, and I sent it to my friend the other day because I've thought about this ever since you mentioned it.
Well, I just don't want to destroy it, but I mean, if you don't find it,
I can find it fast.
we can talk about what it's about. But it's a heavy quote. It's one of those heavy hitters, and it really makes you think, not just as a mom, but also as a child.
It was powerful.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
It's by Carl Jung, and he says, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents. And that's really heavy, but it's an unconscious weight that we put on our kids, and it's too much pressure. How do you guys feel? Because I know we thought about it.
As a teen mom, it hits home. And the way you said that, I think it me as a mother and a young mom who obviously I didn't live a lot of life before I became a mom, and the life that I did live was shit. So it hit home for me. It gave me a whole new perspective, and it makes me want to be more aware of how I parent, because it is a subconscious thing, like you mentioned. So it hit home for me, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, me too. And did they expand in the book, or was it just the quote in the book?
Yes.
Because, so is it more of, we're not really putting it on our kids per se. I'm sure there's some parents that ride their kids because they need to accomplish what they didn't. But I'm sure there's some, like for me, Kaylin, recently, and I think I've shared this before, but she said something about not wanting kids and not wanting to get married. And I was just kind of asking her why. Well, I want to work. And I'm smart enough to put two and two together. And I'm like, well, you can work. She's like, well, and I was like, you just don't want to turn out like me. So I'll say things to her. And if she doesn't say no, because she's not going to lie about it, she'll she'll be honest about it. She just has a hard time spitting it out. So I'll interpret things, and then she either denies it or not. But I said to her, you don't want to turn out like me, where I stayed home, and that I wanted to work and have a career. And she kind of, nodded her head. And I'm like, but you don't have, first of all, don't feel sorry for me. I don't want that pressure on her, or that feeling of, I don't want to turn out like my mom. And I don't have an ego. So, it doesn't make me feel sad about it. Like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? How dare you? I have none of those feelings. But I understand that it looks like, oh, poor Lyanette, she didn't get a career. But I said, I love how my life turned out to be. In my 30s, 15 years removed, 14 years removed, of course, at that time, I didn't see what I see now. At that time, of course, I was like, well, it was me. But my life turned out great. And I was meant to be home with you guys. That was my place. And I became okay with that eventually. Like, I knew that I would have my time. And I'm like, and you don't even have to have that journey. So it is. And like, sometimes for me, it's like, well, don't cry about it. Look around. Look at your mom, how she grew up, and look at your grandmother, and look at everyone else that came before you. Be grateful. They got you to where you are. So be grateful. So it is that, like, it's a guilty feeling. So how do we fix it? Did it say?
Well, I was going to say that a lot of people gave me a hard time because of my background in education, and that I stayed home, but I actually have zero regrets. I think that it's not for every mom, but I think me as a mom, it's the most fulfilling part of my life. ever.
Yeah.
And I was meant to be there because I'm actually one of those super rare people that really likes hanging out with my kids.
You do. You do. I do now.
Same.
I mean, I do too. I do. I like it better now at this age, though.
Yeah, so I would
I'm gonna
say
be
that,
honest.
it was, I mean, not that it wasn't hard because Gavin was a really hard baby. He cried all the time, but he grew out of it.
Yeah.
And, I was probably crying too.
But no, that was a good something to share because, it gives people something to ponder.
I think my alcoholism is a good example of that. Like I didn't live a good life and I didn't go through like the young teenage party stage or anything like that. And I became an alcoholic in my early 20s after I already had a child. So of course that was a burden on my son. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a good example of that. But it's just good to even be aware of quotes like that because it's always going to be in the back of my mind now. I'm always going to think about that. And like I said, I've thought about it so many times since you said it. So I think that's great.
I think we're great.
Next. You ready for the next segment?
Let's go.
The Virago Vault. What is the Virago Vault, you ask? Well, right now we have 5 listeners. And if those 5 listeners would send in a question, your question will go into the Virago Vault. And we will talk about said question. But today, since we have no questions from our listeners, I have a question for Briana about what we were talking. Now that we've imparted wisdom on you, and you're going to walk away feeling refreshed and renewed. All thanks to me and Shiney. You're welcome. Okay, so you're 30. You have your apartment. Your boys are healthy. You got your dog back. You're about to work at Innovative Smiles. What are you going to do with what we have given you? With what is like being laid before you at the end of 2024? So 2025 is going to be kicking ass. What do you see for yourself? What are your goals? What are you going to take away from today?
So I think 2 things stood out to me from what you mentioned from Gabrielle. Finding purpose, I think, is a big one for me. In my mind, my purpose has always been to be a mother. And not that that changes. That will always be my purpose. But I also need to find another purpose. I'm a good mom. I take care of my kids, but maybe in a different aspect of my life, whether it be on a professional level, whether it be on a mental health level, helping other alcoholics. I think finding another purpose aside from even like kind of my identity is being a mom. I've been a mom since I was like 7 years old. So that's like my whole entire personality. So I think finding a purpose is good and having a vision on how I'm going to reach that purpose and being deliberate about how I'm going to get there. That one. And then something, we didn't like dive too deep into this, but it stood out to me and it's something that I've had to learn the past couple months. It's okay not to be okay. That is a huge one for me because I am the type of person that, and it's not even that I want to not be real with my emotions. I feel like I'm a very vulnerable person in general, but I never want to be a burden for other people. I never want other people that love and care about me or that I love and care about to think that I'm not okay. Like I want everyone to think that I'm fine all the time. And the past, throughout my divorce, Lyanette, I've leaned into Lyanette a lot and she's caught me saying things. I'll say things like, this is hard, being a single mom is hard and I want more for my boys, but I should be thankful that they're healthy. I should be, and Lyanette's like, no, it's okay to be sad. It's okay. This is tough shit that you're dealing with. It's okay to feel that.
It'd be weird if you didn't feel certain like emotions like sadness and anger and, frustration and all that. So
I think through this divorce, one advantage that I have is I have kind of learned that I need to process my emotions as they're happening rather than trying to keep them away until they bubble up and I explode or, turn to things like alcohol. So I think that's a big one for me. It's okay to not be okay. And it's funny. I'm going to just say this really quick. Dr. Tally, who I call Dad, Lyanette's husband, he will send me these abide meditations in the morning. And then there's been a couple of times that I'm like, dang, that one really hit home. Like, wow, that's a God moment for me. Like God is talking to me through a human being on this earth. So the other morning I had a really rough morning. Like I said, my son's been teething. My oldest son has been waking up late for school every morning. I have to drive him, and I dropped my kids off, and I was in my car driving home, and I just lost it. I just was having a bad morning, and I just cried, and I was like so sad, and I'm like, oh, I'm regressing. I'm going back to like my sad mindset, blah, blah, blah. I get a text message from my dad, and it's literally an abide meditation, and it's talking about how to being okay with not being okay. And it's saying, this is the time that you lean into God, or this is, kind of giving you tips and tricks. And that made me cry even more, because I'm like, okay, I'm not regressing. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have these feelings. And then I came over here that next day, and you touched on that a little bit, and you just like briefly mentioned it's okay not to be okay. And I'm like, damn, the universe is a sign. God is giving me a sign. It's okay not to be okay. So that definitely stuck out to me.
I think you had asked us. We went to church, and then we went to brunch with the family. But I think that was one of your questions. How do you know when God's talking to you?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really realize that that's the way. Like, how random is that you're feeling that way, and then you get a text, and then you come over.
In that exact moment.
That's not a coincidence.
In that exact moment.
It's a coincidence.
Those are reminders. Like I said, I still have the inquisitive side that I'm like, there's no way that God can be real. And that's just a raw, natural feeling that I have. And then I have those moments, and I'm like, how can he not be? That's way too coincidental. Yeah. How can he not be? And I texted him back, and I think I said like, wow, that one hit home this morning, or something like that. So that's definitely something I take away. Just processing my emotions. I think that's a big deal. And although I'm a mother, I'm still a human being. I'm still a woman. I still have feelings, and I need to process those in a healthy way. Those are the two biggest things. Traveling. I'm always down to travel. And comparing myself. Not because Lyanette's sitting next to me or not blowing smoke up your ass, but I look up to you a lot as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. I have a lot of respect and admiration for your marriage and just the type of human you are. And so it is easy to compare yourself. And I think the other day you said something like, yeah, I was 30. We were talking about, and I was like, oh, wow, you were my age. And I instantly go to that comparative mindset. I'm like, well, she was 30. She was already married to my dad. She was having her third baby. They had a house. She was stay-at-home mom, Yeah. And so I think it's a natural thing, but to just be more conscious of that, and just to be more aware of that when I am doing that, being like, this is my own walk of life, and it hasn't been easy, but such a wonderful thing to be mindful of is that I'm in control of it. And if I want to be married in 5 years, then damn it, I'm going to be married in 5 years with a little girl named Vivian.
Oh, you want to name her Vivian?
No, I just made that up. It would be Penelope or Genevieve.
Oh, no, Genevieve.
I love the name Genevieve.
Axel was going to be Genevieve if he was a girl, remember? Yes.
Okay.
That's such a cute name.
That's adorbs. I'm not allowed to say that, Corinne said. She said that's so like, nobody says that.
And I have hardcore FOMO too, as a young 30-year-old. I get FOMO about things and friendships. Yeah. Another thing I've always admired about you is your friendships. You have a wonderful group of friends, Shiney being one of them. And I don't have a lot of friends. I have a friend from high school, and I have my family, which is, you guys. And
But honestly, at 30, the friends that I have, they didn't even exist. I was in my own little world. Like I said, I didn't really have a ton of friends at that time. I mean, you have people, but when you get married and some people are in the same. So you have friends, but not anybody that you're hanging out with anymore because at 30, your walks of life really go off in way different directions. Right. So I prayed for this. I literally prayed for this. And around 32, 33, I told Philip, we would go to the church here down the street, but we literally would go, listen, and then leave. Right. And finally, I was like, I'm tired of walking this path by myself. I need friends that are in the same boat, that can relate, that have similar interests, that have small children. I prayed. I said, just bring me a few. I said, maybe 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 5, nothing crazy. And then just the floodgates opened. Yeah. And imagine just Yeah, the heavens opening and then the friends are falling down. And then I, started CrossFit and stuff. So just, you're fine. You're going to find your community. At this age, we're so, like
I'm
I said,
here like
evolving.
every day.
Yeah.
They're my best friend.
And we love you.
Like every other day.
Those people are going to fall. You're going to get your people.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
You will. And my people will become your people.
And I was going to say, you already have a foundation.
I do have a great foundation.
Yeah. I mean, you already have, it's really the quality. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've had the same friends since I was a kid. And remember I said that Atlanta's been the place I struggled. So I've always had those friends, but they don't live here.
Right.
So when I was in this stage of my life, which I've been here 16 years. So it's taken me such a long time to realize who are my real friends here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a small group, and I'm so thankful.
Yeah. And I think...
And you'll accumulate them, and then you'll get rid of a few because...
Exactly.
Had I met friends in my early 20s, which I did, they wouldn't have been constructive for me in this phase of my life.
Yeah.
The ones I was out drinking with, or had I met a nice group of friends whenever I was a closet alcoholic or didn't want to accept it. Now I feel like I'm in a position where I'm ready to accept it. I'm honest about who I am and that sort of thing. So
Yes.
yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Yes.
Anything. If y'all have been listening to me ever, I love my quotes, or I love to end with something. Sometimes I forget, but I'm going to be more consistent. Or about consistency. That's the word of 2025. I don't remember my word. I think it was like calm or something. But anyways, I found this on Pinterest. It says, this year I've learned 3 things. Number 1, you're not always going to get the closure or explanation you think you deserve. 2, sometimes you have to accept something for what it is and move on. And 3, everything really does happen for a reason.
I love that.
I want to thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you, Virago.
I love that
See you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Virago 24/7. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and please give us 5-star ratings. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Virago 24_7 and on Facebook at Virago 24/7. And just connect with us and share your story. We'd love to hear from you.
Just give me my space.